This is my 1965 Mercedes 200 Fintail, and I'm having problems engaging reverse. It has to come really close to the steering wheel, and only at the very top am I getting any spring action, so it's difficult to engage reverse. So I'm gonna show you how to rectify this problem. The first thing to check are the connections on either end of the gear linkages. These ball joints you can see have already been replaced, and they connect the gear link to the levers at the bottom of the steering column shift. So we're going to remove the steering wheel. First thing to do is to remove this center column, which goes together with these plastic clips that clip in here, and then we can remove this 22mm nut. Once the steering wheel is removed, you'll see that there's this little bearing over here which may come away with the steering wheel, so be aware of this and how it needs to go back. And then you can pull this horn ring, this plastic horn ring, out of the way, which then exposes the shift rod over here. Now all of this material over here shows that the bush behind this washer and clip has broken down. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove that C-clip over there, and then these Allen keys here, and then pull this away, because there's a similar bush on the other side of this plate as well, which needs to be replaced. You'll have to remove these mounting screws as well, because the indicator unit bolts into this aluminium housing. So I've loosened the indicator unit as well as the hooter ring, so these wires can be pulled out of the way, and the indicator unit shifted to one side, and then we can remove these two Allen cap screws. You're going to have to remove this circlip over here so that the unit can come off the shaft, but also this E-clip needs to be removed so you can replace this bush, or get this unit out to replace this bush and the one behind it. Now after I've removed the E-clip and the two spacer washers, you can see that the bush is broken down completely, and this is going to give lots of extra play. Now these two bushes on a W108 and on a Fintail are responsible for this shaft to protrude and to actually ground against the horn ring, so when you turn the steering wheel the horn will go off, or it'll stay on all the time. An effective way of removing this housing is to pull on it here, and while you're busy pulling on it, you can tap it gently with a plastic hammer over here so as not to damage the thread, and the housing will come away. Once you have the housing off, you can see the recess there for the inside bush, which then fits over the shaft over here, and you can see it's entirely disintegrated. I've been supplied this bush kit. The aluminium washers there are originally supposed to be a material called Velcolen, but I've been supplied these aluminium bushes, and then this clear one over here is for the gear lever under the chrome nut. So let's see how these things go together. Normally you'd have this washer that goes on there, then the Velcolen washer, and then another washer, and then the housing. But in this case I'm going to leave the washers off and then put this aluminium spacer on, and let's see how this works out. The housing has now been refitted, and normally you'd have a washer, then the Velcolen bush, and then a washer, and then the E-clip, but in this case I've left the washers off, and the bush seems to go in nicely, and there's enough space for the E-clip to go in. I've had to remove this large circle up here so that I can get the E-clip in. It seems to interfere. So these circlips have all been replaced, the E-clip has been replaced, and you can now see that there's a nice movement of the gear lever again. You can feel the spring movement, so that seems to have solved the problem. The next thing to do is to replace this clear bush underneath here. The chrome nut gets loosened off with a 27mm spanner, and once you take it out, there's some sort of a bush or something. I don't know if that's original or not, but you can see inside there that's a lot of dust and debris, and we're going to clean that up and then put the new bush in. The clear plastic bush has now been pushed on over the ball of the gear lever with just a little bit of grease on both ends, and that's now going to go in there and all get fastened up. And now the gear lever works perfectly again. There's a good spring action through the spring into reverse. First, second, third, fourth. It's much tighter than it used to be.